Hello, hello.
Hi, Brandon.
How are
Of
you?
course I was on. I always learn from Marcia. She's the GOAT. I needed to listen to her too.
Seriously, seriously, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know Miss Juliette Jones, um, really for me, along with Marcia, a mentor, a friend, someone that I've known for years before Live Nation Urban. She is the executive vice president of urban promotion at Atlantic Records. Someone that everyone should know. Juliette, thank you for making time for us today.
Oh, thanks for having me, Brandon.
Absolutely. So if you can, and this is what we do with all of our guests to start off, just really talk about your journey, where you came from to get to the ranking position that you're the high ranking position that
I've been doing this a really long time. So where do I start?
from the beginning. We got time today. We got time
Okay.
from the beginning.
I started interning years ago. I went to school at University of Maryland. I had a job and I met someone there, and that's how I got introduced to the music business. Interned for quite a few years, and my friend from school, she went to Howard. Her godfather was Percy Sutton, who owned Inner City Broadcasting. So I moved to New York to intern for free. Not a great plan, but interned at WBLS in New York, which was a big station. From there, I got my first promotion job at Jive Records. Moved back to DC to be the Mid-Atlantic regional of Jive Records. And I am originally from Evanston, Illinois, which is a suburb of Chicago. So Juliette from Jive, when R. Kelly was so big at the time that they used to write in the newspaper that Jive was Chicago based. It never was, but it was about him. So it was a very exciting opportunity that my first job was, our premier artist was from my hometown. It was pretty exciting at that time. Stayed there for several years, got promoted a couple times, moved to Atlanta with them, was the Southeast Regional, then moved to New York and was a national. Left there, worked at Hits Magazine. I was the urban editor for a couple of years, and then left Hits Magazine to move. That was in Los Angeles. I was LA based. Moved to New York to be the VP of promotion at Virgin Records, and stayed with Virgin, which became Capitol. I stayed. They changed.
Yeah.
And my opportunity there, an amazing executive, one of the greatest actually bosses I've ever had was Ronnie Johnson. Came to the company as president of Black Music, and he gave me an opportunity to run promotion for the first time. So I got my first head of promotion job at Capitol. It was amazing. Good run with Ronnie, and then unfortunately Ronnie passed away, and so I ended up leaving the company. And fast forward to today, I've been with Warner Music Group since 2011. I started at Warner Brothers.
Mm-hmm.
And how I met you. My very first day at Warner Brothers Records as the head of promotion, we impacted Jill Scott.
Yeah.
It was definitely a learning curve for us all, but it ended up having a great result. What an incredibly powerful and inspirational artist and person and human to start my new job with. And I joke with her and say we were freshmen together, and I think it had a profound impact on the trajectory of what happened next. Starting out with that unbelievable energy, and longest running number one for her 17 weeks, also record holder at Urban Adult. And I moved to Atlantic at the end of 2012 after tremendous success with Jill, and we built the MMG brand there, and we all moved over to Atlantic. So I've been with Atlantic as the EVP of promotion since then.
So let me ask, and this is for those that may, just starting in the music industry or not in the music industry. When we had Marcia on, she's head of marketing. When I hear the word promotion, I'm promoting an album, or is that marketing? What exactly does urban promotion mean?
So urban promotion is our main job, as I like to say, a little tongue in cheek, is 1 through 10 priorities to get records on the radio. We do everything to support that. So when people call in, be the 10th caller and win tickets to see Meek Mill, we set that up with radio. When you hear Meek Mill talking on The Breakfast Club, when he has a new album, we schedule that. Any promotions that surround artist facing things on radio, we kind of interface with all things radio. even working closely with your team at Live Nation. When you guys have tours on the road, we chime in and help with radio partners and contesting to help promote those tours for our artists. And I also have a rhythm team, even though I'm the head of urban. So that's the same thing, but at the rhythm format.
So let me ask, I mean, you know, we're in an age of streaming. We're in an age of digital. Why is radio still so important?
Radio is still so important because radio does impact the bottom line with the streaming, and radio, the greatest, indicator of a big hit record is a hit on the radio. If you want to be a star, you can have a great career, and it's no disrespect whatsoever to all of the incredible artists that aren't necessarily radio artists, and they do great work. And a lot of them are very successful, but with radio, if you want to be an artist that's a big star and end up on television, we're a stepping stone. And prior to streaming, radio used to be the first line of attack. We were the first guys out the door. Now we've kind of shifted in where we happen in the process.
Okay.
But for instance, Little Uzi is a great example. Uzi streams through the roof. He's an incredible artist. He's very meaningful in that model of business. But Uzi, when we have a radio record, even though, say, he's streaming 18 million times a week, that's fantastic. Everyone would love to have that. Right. We've had Uzi records that were streaming 18 million times a week. When we got it as a radio hit, it was up to 30.
Got it. And so where does it fall in the process? Now, you said it changed in the process. Radio used to be first, then it's streaming. Is it you have to go stream first now and then along the chain find radio?
Well, usually because streaming is got way more bandwidth, right?
Yep.
My mainstream stations play 20 records, 25 current records at a time. Spotify can play 100,000 current records at a time if they want to. It's just unlimited. And so now everything kind of starts as streaming because it was a replacement for us originally as sales. It's not a replacement for promotion. It's where people used to go out and buy a single. Now they stream.
Right.
And so everything kind of is released to that. And then depending on the artist and where they are in their career trajectory and a lot of other information about where their career is in the marketplace, we assess, when is the right time to go to radio. And there's a lot of things that go into that. And some records, again, are fantastic that aren't for the radio. Right. So we are much more down the line. There's a lot of online marketing that happens, a lot of digital stuff, a lot of working obviously with the streamers and letting the streaming numbers get up, as well as building the profile of the artist, and sometimes even shows. And depending on the profile of the artist, that's how we assess when it's ready to go to radio.
And what I found, particularly in hip hop and in R&B, radio shows are still super important when it comes to artists being discovered and actually that artist is. How do you interact with promoters when it's time for radio shows? I call it radio show season. From about September, October through January, pre-COVID, it was my artist on a radio show. It's still significant on that end, correct?
It is really significant, right? I mean, there's certain markets where it's much more meaningful than others, right? I mean, we know New York has big radio shows. Philadelphia has big radio shows. Atlanta has big radio shows. And I think it's, you get to see so many of your favorite artists in one place for a reasonable amount of money. And because this is a one-time sort of curation of these lineups, you can, with the opportunity to chime in, obviously in Philadelphia, because I work with Meek and I work with Jill and I work with Uzi. Philly has been and remains the Power 99 powerhouse is a big thing for us. And Meek has done that show. I think if I've been working with him, I don't know how many years it is, 9. Meek has done that show, I think 7 of the 9. And 1 year he was in jail, so he couldn't do it. And I think he called in on the screen. He still was there. And he also doing that has afforded the opportunity for some of our other artists. I mean, Cardi B went before she ever had a record and ever blew up and was the first person on the stage at 6 o'clock. And a year later, she was one of the headliners of the show. So really meaningful.
Well, let me ask, has the pandemic impacted how many are listening to radio? Has it impacted what you do on a day-to-day basis at all? Or is it business as usual?
Yeah, no, I mean, yes, in general, it has impacted. It's really case by case. There's a couple of stations where they've seen a boost in listenership, which is fantastic for them. Most people in general, their business is down. I mean, a big driver for radio stations is the morning drive, but nobody's been going to work.
Right.
So, you know, I don't know about everybody else, but I don't just randomly get up at 7 a.m. to stay home all day. You know, like they're probably getting up a little bit later, a little more leisurely. And my personal theory is seemingly, and you can tell from streaming numbers as far as television, but people are watching a lot more news, watching a lot more television now, and listening to the radio a little bit less. And I think some of that is indicative of just not being in their cars.
Right. So let me ask an overall question for you. I mean, you are one of the most powerful women in this industry of any race. Do you still find it any type of bias because you are a Black woman? Do you still have any difficulties even in the position that you're in? Because I think it's critical that we talk about that as well.
Yes. I mean, look, you know, I think that we as a group of people and the way that urban music is done, and this is a great conversation that's happening right now in the business. I'm part of the urban department. I've always done urban promotion. As a Black person, I entered the door into the urban department. Mm-hmm. It never crossed my mind that I could work in pop and rhythm, and it just was sort of assumed and understood, right? That you're walking in here to be in the urban department. And so while I have had tremendous success, I'm still in the urban department, right? Like I'm still in the Black department, and no complaints. I'm happy and I love it, but I should be able with my work to grow beyond that. And specific to what my job is, this conversation that's happening right now has inspired all of the urban heads of promotion to talk a lot about the history of this, et cetera. And one thing that's fascinating is with probably some of the people that are on the call have 40 years of experience, maybe more. Mm-hmm. It was at a time very common for the head of urban promotion to report to the head of pop promotion, the white guy or woman. And I think it might have happened once or twice ever that the pop guys reported to the urban person. And currently that does not exist anywhere. And there is, like I said, we're struggling to think of a second example, but we have one example because he was on the call to confirm that he actually did used to be the head of all promotion. Yeah. One guy in 40 something years collectively.
And do you ever take time to really discuss that outside of all the urban promotion heads, like to the heads of labels, like, look, this needs to change. Is this the time to actually talk about that change? Because look, if you can do it in urban or Black music, you can do it across all music.
Correct.
Honestly, if we're going to, all of the music is Black music. So, you know, is that a conversation that you've had or will have?
Absolutely. I mean, that's how I ended up with an urban team.
Yeah.
I mean, a rhythm team, saying like I can do more than just urban, right? The rhythm format plays the same music basically, and predominantly the employees of that format are not us. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, I was pushing for more responsibility as I was growing in my career, and I'm very passionate about what I do. I really understand that when I take a record to radio, that's very possibly an artist who was a little kid sitting wherever they're from, listening to the radio, dreaming of being on the radio one day, dreaming of being on BT or whatever. You know, I feel bad there was a generation of artists that dreamed of being on 106 in Park, and it kind of ended before they got to that level, right? But I understand that. And so I still am very passionate about what I do, and I think that it makes a difference in the result. And I have something to offer to whatever format that is. So it is a conversation that I've been having, that other people have been having, and that we need to continue to have. I think that it feels like in this moment that the listeners are more receptive.
Yeah, for sure. Is there any sort of advice that you would give, you know, the next Juliette Jones, you know, that's just entering the industry in this new digital era. Is there anything you would say to her, how to move or pivot to really get to where you're at right now?
I mean, I definitely subscribe to the Nipsey Hussle theory of work in music business, and I believe I'm the same. I mean, I think I'm smart, and I think I'm talented. I think there's a lot of young women that are smart and talented, and probably smarter and more talented than I am. And it's just about staying in it. And I used to joke that promotion is a crazy choice, right? Because I take so much rejection and so much like no's and beg people to do what I want them to do. And if it works out, someone else is rich and famous at the end, not me, right? If it works, that after me getting the door slammed in my face for a couple of years over the artist, if it works out, they become rich and famous. But I'm so glad I interned for 5 years, which young people today think is insanity from my experience.
Mhm.
But that's why I'm here, right? I wanted to do this. My mother used to tell me every couple of months, it's not too late to go back to college, but it was my passion, and I wanted to do a job that I loved. And every time that I've been knocked down, I just dusted myself off and I kept going and I stayed at it. And I believe that, if this is your dream and you want to do this business and you are surrounded by people who have 7,000 reasons why you cannot do it, stop hanging around with them.
Right.
Get some new friends.
Yep. Yep. So let me do this. I want to correct myself. And I was looking at the comments, and they're absolutely correct. There is no next Juliette Jones. So I apologize.
Well, thanks whoever said that.
No, but I wanted just to say, I mean, I don't know if you have any last words, but I just want to say thank you. Thank you for, being who you are in this industry, for being a mentor, being a friend, being someone that lets her work guide everything else. You are phenomenal. Marsha, who's our previous guest, is phenomenal. I'm just grateful that you were able to take time to speak to us today.
Thank you. I mean, I just want to say last words. Yes, Marsha's amazing. And, promotion is a team sport.
Yep.
And music is a team sport. And I think if you want to do music, people need to understand that, because there is this perception and it is a shiny job and we deal with very exciting things and shiny things, but it's a team sport. And if you're not willing to participate on the team, you cannot perform in the way that you need to. And to have an exemplary head of marketing in Marsha St. Hubert, there's no mystery why I also look so great, right? Because it's a layup. She does such a great job of setting it up, and she's not the only one. I mean, there's phenomenal marketers and digital marketers and creatives and art department, everyone who contributes to the process. I'm so fortunate and blessed to work with such incredible people, and Marsha, there's a great team. She co-heads it with Deani, who does a great job as well. And we also have such great talent. And I just want to second a couple of the things that Marsha said.
Sure.
I super excited and love Mahalia. I hope she's going to do some interviews coming up soon. I hope everyone catches her, because her dry English wit is a good time, and she's very candid and incredibly wise to be so young. Jack Harlow is something that I think our whole company is incredibly proud of. He's one of those artists that he's so nice and hardworking that everyone is happy that he's winning. Right. Everyone's happy for him, right? We've been waiting for this moment. And the fact that we're going to have a big hit for him in the middle of a global pandemic is that much more gratifying. We had Youngboy, NBA's first big radio hit during this pandemic, and he's been doing this for a long time. And he means so much to his audience and the shows that he does and the work that he does and his opportunity. And I do want to say in this moment that it's important that we also remember when we're doing these jobs, this is life-changing for him. From whence he comes and what this has given him access to, not just financially, but information and experiences, is life-changing for him and everyone in his family. And so I think when we talk about, being keepers of the culture and why it's so important that we're involved, it's because that's the reality. We understand that all of those lyrics that they're talking about, that's their real life. Right. It's not just entertainment. He lived through those things, and he's not the only one. you know, I'm so excited about Gucci, and he personally inspires me with his transition, and he's always evolving. And, you know, none of us are perfect, but he's, you know, really doing great work and maintaining his place in the world. So I'm so thankful to work with such great artists. And we've got Pink Sweats, and I hope that you listen to Trey Songz How Many Times record about the riots, because it's fantastic and we need that content. So I just wanted to say that I feel passionately about a lot of that, and Marsha's right about Juicy Fruit as well. Amazing, amazing girl.
Absolutely. I think I just said, like, we executives have the ability to transform lives.
Yes.
And transform the narrative of some of our artists that are coming out and may have gone through struggles, but are here now wanting to do better, wanting to help and bring others with them. And I think that's important. It's something that we don't talk about enough internally and externally. So thank you, Juliette, for bringing that up.
And getting these opportunities as executives is life-changing. This was life-changing for me. I moved to New York to live for free, to sleep on my friend's couch in Harlem, because I wanted an opportunity. Yep. I had literally nothing to lose, and sometimes people that we're interacting with don't come from that same experience. And so I try to always be sensitive to, I know what it means to people. I really do. And I don't take that lightly, and I'm always going to do my best. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. I don't make the records, right? But I do the best I can every time. And I just want to shout out my amazing team. I work with an amazing urban and promotion team and rhythm team. And, you know, they do such an incredible job, and all of them are deserving of continuing to grow in this business and get their recognition. And I hope they do. And I do everything I can to make sure that that happens. Again, couldn't do it without them. We're just a team sport.
One of the through lines between both interviews, passion and hard work. If you have the passion to do something, don't allow money to be your driving factor, because that will come as long as you love what you do and put your all into it. So
thank you, Colby. I see all your wisdom in the comments.
Well, thank you. Again, this is Juliette Jones, Executive Vice President of Urban Promotion for Atlantic Records. Thank you, Juliette, for being here. Greatly appreciate it. And I just want to say I am Brandon Pankey, Live Nation Urban. This has been another episode of Meet the Execs. Next week, we are focusing on Motown Records, and we are going to have another exciting guest, so I'm excited for that. Everyone have a great weekend. Stay safe. Hold on and love your loved ones, and we'll be back next week. Thank you again, Juliette.
Thank you.
All right, take care.